Hey, it's Vaughan from Your Career Mastery, and today we're talking about how to create an effective development plan. So the first tip is that you need to audit yourself. So when you're putting your development plan together, you need to take the time to understand where you're strong, but where are your weaknesses? Because you might have strengths that you're already quite good at that you need to develop. However, your weaknesses are where all the growth is going to come from. I highly suggest before you put your development plan in place to understand where are the areas that you really need to develop and really face into those areas, because sometimes there are things that make us a bit scared or a bit nervous. For example, my development area, or one of my key ones, is public speaking. It's an area that makes me quite nervous and quite anxious, but I know it's something that I need to develop if I want to move forward in my career. So make sure you take the time to really look at where you need to develop, where are the areas that are weak for you, whether it's public speaking, your business acumen, your finance acumen, your legal acumen, maybe it's something to do with marketing, whatever it happens to be for you. Lay those areas out and do a really thorough audit, because that's going to help you identify where you need to develop and what's going to drive forward growth in your career. And if you're getting value from this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave any comments below if you've got any questions at all. Tip number 2 for creating a highly effective development plan, it's all about focusing on your hard skills and your soft skills. So your hard skills are the technical skills that you need to do your day-to-day role. So if you work as a software coder, then your hard skills would be the literal skills that help you become a more effective software coder. So learning more about coding and different code languages, whatever it happens to be. But your soft skills are things that are transferable between different roles. So it's things like communication, leadership, team management, time management, and productivity. These are your soft skills. So to create a highly effective development plan, you should have a mix of technical, hard skills, and soft skills as well, because ultimately you need both to be successful in your career. Tip number 3 is all about getting feedback. So obviously we're quite biased in terms of how we view ourselves, which is why it's so important to get an outside opinion about where other people think that we need to develop. So for my personal development plan, before I put it together, I went out to about 12 different stakeholders in the business and asked them for some feedback on how we worked together in the last year, what went well, what we could improve, and where they think I need to become stronger in my career to be more effective in my job. Having that feedback is gold, but you want to make sure you get feedback from people that you know and people that you trust, and people who have had enough exposure to you in your role to actually give you some good and solid feedback. Tip number 4 is to find mentors. So you want to find senior leaders in the business and really ask them questions about how they moved forward in their career, and really try and find some nuggets and some advice on how they would recommend you build a pathway to your next promotion or your next dream job, or how you can go about building specific sets of skills and what skills they would recommend. Because in many cases, senior leaders in the business have been in your role before and have moved forward. So they actually understand the roadmap. And you want to try and come from the context of saying, hey, look, I really would love to pick your brain on this particular skill. And can we check in 3 months, 6 months from now and have a review on where I'm at and get some more feedback and some more tactical advice that I can then take back into my development plan and help keep moving it forward as well. Tip number 5 for creating a highly effective development plan is about checking in every quarter. So it's very easy and very tempting just to create your development plan at the start of the year and then just forget about it for the rest of the year. But thankfully, many big businesses actually have structures in place to make sure that you do have quarterly check-ins on your development plan to make sure you're on track and you're hitting your goals. And if you're not, having a review and understanding where we need to come back and bring it back on course. I personally have check-ins with my manager every single quarter to understand what's the lay of the land, how are we tracking with the PDP, what's ahead of schedule, what's behind schedule, what's on schedule, to really align all the priorities and make sure everything's looking good and everything's moving forward. But also having this conversation and this dialogue with your manager can also set you in really good stead, because you've built transparency around your PDP. So when it comes to the end of the year for your review, there shouldn't be any surprises about how you've performed, and that should go a long way in setting you up for success and getting a pay rise, promotion, or a bonus in your role. Tip number 6 for putting together a highly effective development plan, it's all about remembering that the responsibility sits with you. It's not your manager's job or your business's job to drive your professional development forward. That responsibility sits with you and with you alone. But actually, that's what's most empowering about it, because that means your development shouldn't be held back by the business you're working for. Because you're completely responsible for your professional development, that means that there's no limit on how fast and how far you can go with your professional development, especially if you take the initiative to be proactive and really work on honing your development even outside of work as well, with courses, events, books, projects, portfolio projects, whatever it is. So that's it. My 6 tips for creating a highly effective development plan. I'm Vaughan from Your Career Mastery. Hope you've loved this video. If you've got any questions, leave in the comments below, and I'll see you next week in the next tutorial. Cheers.